In 1971, a Marine working at the 29 Palms base in the Mojave Desert arrived early in the morning to relieve his comrade when he found the young soldier lying on the ground. Strangely, the rifle in his hand was bent in half. The Marine was barely alive and clearly shaken. Barely coherent, he tried to explain to his superiors that a huge hairy man with bright red eyes had attacked him. It was the first time that a mysterious 12-foot creature was allegedly seen by several Marines and countless servicemen in the scorching desert area, giving way to the legend of a Yucca Man that is said to have been hiding in plain sight for generations. Desert Paradise. The Marine Corps Air-Ground Combat Center, known as 29 Palms, is the most extensive U.S. Marine Corps base. Nestled in a deserted paradise, this premier training facility's twofold mission is to operate live-fire combined arms training and provide facilities, services, and support for the working tenant commands, Marines, sailors, and their families. The facility covers more than 998 square miles of the southern Mojave Desert, making it larger than some small countries. And although the Mojave Desert in Southern California is full of beauty and wonder, it's also a hotspot of secrets, mysteries, and the unexplained. As far back as the 1970s, when the base expanded significantly, there have been countless reports of recruits being terrorized by a mysterious creature known as the Yucca Man. According to legend, the Yucca Man roams the Mojave Desert from Joshua Tree National Park to Death Valley, one of the hottest and most remote places in the world. Named after the yucca tree, a typical flora in the area, the creature has been researched by local press, television reporters, amateur cryptozoologists, and Bigfoot researchers, all hoping to catch a glimpse of a flesh and blood creature they believe coexists with other animals in the area. The lore that started it all. The first sighting of the Yucca Man occurred in 1971. As a young Marine recruit stood on guard duty in a far-off corner of the massive 29 Palms base, a strange noise in the distance caught him by surprise, and he turned towards the darkness of the desert. As the growling intensified, the young recruit could feel and smell the breath of a nearby beast circling him. The man then drew his sidearm and encountered an 8-foot-tall creature with an unbearable stench from his hairy body and 2 terrifying eyes glowing like red coals. The Marine then lost consciousness and was found lying on the ground the following day, barely alive and with his rifle bent in half. Although he was hardly awake and coherent, the Marine managed to explain that a huge hairy man had come out of the darkness and approached him. Despite trying to lift his rifle and order the creature to stop, the entity did not heed the command and drew closer, taking his firearm, bending it in half, and knocking him out. However, the story of the young recruit wasn't the only sighting that night. According to local inhabitants, around the same time, in a residential area very close to the base, a couple reported seeing 2 creatures, one about 12 feet tall, and a similar one that looked like a child. After being alerted by their barking dogs of something unusual happening outside, the pair looked out their front window, only to see 2 Yucca Men walking across their yard. Like Bigfoot, the creature was large, hairy, and walked upright on 2 feet. And although the FBI and the CIA were allegedly brought over to the area to investigate the incidents, no official documents confirm the 1971 appearance of the Yucca Man. Further sightings. Southern California encounters with the Yucca Men were common enough in the 1970s to keep multiple Bigfoot research groups in the area taking reports and surveying the desert for clues. Throughout the decade, a babysitter and 3 different Marines reported seeing the monster in several Southern California counties near the Mojave Desert. Then, in 1979, an elderly couple spotted a Yucca Man stepping out behind the bushes near their residence. After stopping in front of their car, the creature, with a chest the size of a refrigerator, looked right into their eyes and then vanished into the night. The investigation led to 17 mysterious footprints near the area. However, despite several stakeouts, Bigfoot fanatics found no further proof of the existence of the elusive creature. Years later, in March of 1988, terror filled the area when 2 Marines returning from a day of skiing at Big Bear encountered the red-eyed monster. After unsuccessfully pursuing the creature, Marine Ken Fox sent an official report of the incident to Sasquatch researcher Douglas Trapp. The Air Force Yucca Man. The Edwards Air Force Base is located 144 miles away, still in the extensive Mojave Desert. The base adjoins Rogers Dry Lake, with miles of smooth desert runways, and is famous for its legendary test pilots and the landings of NASA's space shuttles. There's a large subterranean infrastructure underneath the desert, with the personnel and technology required to hide secret aircraft from prying eyes. However, the facility's cameras have captured footage of their own Yucca Man variation from time to time. According to persistent records and stories coming out of Edwards, the base's motion sensor cameras repeatedly captured images of a desert Sasquatch roaming through the area around the same time as the other sightings. This Air Force variant of the Yucca Man has been seen in herds and family groups, traveling through the base's corridors and tunnels, and appearing and disappearing to the bewilderment of base officers sent chasing after them. In the spring of 1974, security policeman Sergeant Michael House was on night patrol at Edwards, on the outskirts of Mars Station. As House patrolled an abandoned sled track once used for testing G-forces in the powerful communications site, he spotted a strange creature. He later said, quote, "Heading back to the main base, I noticed maybe 200-300 yards to my left, these large blue eyes. I do a lot of night hunting, and it was strange. They were larger than anything I'd ever seen before. The blue eyes had to be about 4 inches apart and 7 feet off the ground. I stopped the truck and sat there watching them." House froze in fear as the piercing blue eyes came closer to his vehicle and a rancid smell permeated the air. The creature continued to move closer and closer, coming within 50 yards of his truck, but Sergeant House received an order to proceed directly back to base, and he quickly left the area. After returning a few hours later, he found no trace of the blue-eyed monster. And by the following morning, the rain had washed out any possibility to follow the monster's tracks. House was the subject of endless ribbing and submitted an official report, and other servicemen refrained from making formal statements about their own encounters from then on, only feeding into the lore of the Yucca Men. The legend continues. The encounters with the Yucca Man didn't end in the 20th century, and the alleged blue or red-eyed monster, depending on who's talking, supposedly continues to stalk military personnel and their families. Surprisingly, the Edwards Air Force Base sort of finally acknowledged the monster's existence in 2009. In their official newsletter, the base published an article regarding the reunion of the 6,510th Air Police Squadron officers, known as the 6,510th Desert Rats, where the former officers recalled their encounters with the mythical blue-eyed monster of the Mojave Desert. The urban legend of the 12-foot humanoid that haunts training Marines persists to this day, as the beautiful yet dangerous Mojave Desert has proven too large and remote to completely deny the existence of a paranormal creature in the area. Thank you for watching our video. Don't forget to hit the like button and leave us a comment down below. And also subscribe to this and all our Dark Documentaries channels to be the first to know about our newest content.